you know, nothing's too
People watch us
stressful.
do our work.
Yeah, we're like, well, we try to figure everything out.
I did it again. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we're recording officially now, love.
Okay.
I just ate turtles before I came on, so I feel like I'm
You ate turtles?
Yeah, you know, the ones with the pecans.
Oh, yeah. Okay, candy, not actual turtles.
Oh, no.
Well, you're eating
Jesus.
seaweed a lot these days, too, so I don't know what you're into anymore.
No, I would not eat a real life turtle, no.
I need to turn my fan on. It's hot up in this hot box back here.
I don't think that would be a great situation.
No, I don't
in terms
think
of being in relationship with my body.
No, agreed.
You know, I should have,
okay.
We have to get better at this one day, but we should even post sometimes reminders just to let everyone know, like when we're going live. But nevertheless, we always have fun talking to each other. So that's what I look forward to. Before we get started today, can you even hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Oh, you look pretty.
It's because I just turned my Diva fan on. But now it's annoying because my hair is going into my chapstick and, you know, life is so difficult.
That is funny, though. Well, before we get started about talking about our relationship to our body today, I just wanted to let our Patreons know that they have a video that will be up after this talk that Tiffany and I did for you. That was so much fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. I'm glad that we've created this new structure.
Yeah. So we'll have some more goodies for all of you in terms of like additional conversations. And that was one of my favorites. I think I just got so excited that you also had sleep paralysis experiences. I mean, I don't want to give it all away, but that's just like a teaser. We talk about
It's a good teaser because I think it seems like the more I started to talk about the sleep paralysis thing, there's a lot of people that have had that experience, and it is kind of scary, and you kind of think you're going a little bit crazy. So
yeah,
you know, when people can help you and relate to those things, it makes it a little less bizarre.
Yeah, no, it's really true. So all of you can join us. I wonder how this is. Oh, there you are. Now I can see you the right way. So anyway, yeah. So we did this whole talk on the other day about that, our sleep paralysis, escapism, all of these different layers of not being in body, and we had fun. So everyone, if you are part of our Patreon, you have access to that as soon as this particular recording is over. So being in body.
Yes, that's been our main topic.
That has been our main topic. And
today is our subtext topic.
But can I just like laugh really quick that the week we did being in body, you were sick in your body. I found out I gained like 10 pounds in my body.
I think we all did this summer somehow. I feel like it too. So you're not alone.
Yeah. So, okay. So now we're moving on to our relationships with our body, which I think is such a big, big topic. Because honestly, prior to doing this work and like, you know, paying attention to our thoughts and our inner dialogue and all of these things, I don't think people even recognize their relationship with their body. Because say, for example, you're someone who eats healthy, maybe you do yoga, you go to the gym, you think that you're doing things that are good for your body. However, you may be criticizing yourself every time you look in the mirror. You may be criticizing yourself every time you put on your yoga pants. You might be like, body, oh, I wish you had different, whatever it may be. That's also impacting your relationship with your body, your energy, and all of these things. So what about you? Just from the beginning, what would you say? Do you like the relationship you have with your body, and has it always been in the same boat, or has it changed over time?
It has changed very slowly. We're still working on our relationship. We're in counseling together.
Yeah.
You know, I think like anybody, or at least, you know, a greater portion of the female population, and I'm sure that there's males out there too, where, you know, I just never liked the skin I was in either, you know, always criticizing something. And I've been an athlete my whole life, and you know, I've of course been told things by people like, oh, you're beautiful, you're tall, you should be a model, you know, which I never believed. I was like, what are you looking at, you know? And it's this screen that we put up, and it's not because the things that people are saying aren't true, or, you know, it's a screen we put up based on other things that have happened in our life. We create this story about ourselves and about our physical realm. So the things that happened to us emotionally, or the way we've processed things emotionally as we were growing up, created kind of this relationship to physical things. And physical could be our body, it could be other people, it could be to material things, you know? So it's not so much looking at my body and being like, oh, I hate this about my body, I wish it was different. It's like, what's the thing that I'm projecting about, you know? So that's actually been a lifetime of getting over that relationship. And it's been, I would say, this work really pushed me off into like warp speed of really understanding it more. And I would say the past like decade, but more acutely the past 5 years, I've had like several physical ailments that have happened that really forced me to look at what actually is my body doing. And it's strange because I've been involved in sports, athletics, nutrition, and intrigued by health and wellness my entire life. So I've always been studying and reading about the body, and, you know, I've always been healthy, and I've always exercised. So like I had that down, but my mental relationship was not good. But also as you know, I've been through some pretty gnarly physical ailments. And even those, you know, going through those, no matter how healthy you keep your body, if you're still not treating it right by understanding the toll that stress takes on it, or setting aside that sacred time to take care of this physical vessel, it's, you know, it doesn't matter how much you know until you're really being in your body and applying the energetics of how everything impacts this physical vessel.
No, totally. And
it's
I
a
think,
really long-winded answer. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, I think it's really good because it shows people that there are layers to this relationship.
So
Because
many layers.
like when we do think of our relationship to our body, like, yeah, some people will be totally focused on the health in terms of like food and diet and exercise. Then there are other people who will completely resonate with the perfectionism and criticism of their bodies and these things.
Yeah.
Now I think about when I was younger, I just ate whatever I want. I mean, listen, I was the only child. I mean, I have two brothers, but you know, I grew up, my mom's the only child. So I'm the only child, and I was like latchkey kid, and you know, so
yeah, you did what you wanted.
I ordered pizza, like yeah, you know, she's a working mom. So I mean, I grew up, I mean, I would say elementary school, she cooked and made sure I had like, you know, the food you're supposed to eat, like breakfast and dinner. But by the time I got to junior high, she's like, you're on your own, kid, you know, like here's some money, like figure it out. So I would have grinders.
Grinders, where are you from? Boston? I thought you worked
I know. But I would have like grinders after school, or get like pizza, you know, so I like literally grew up on junk food. And even into my adult life, like I always would eat out, like fast food. I eat out. I always joke like my refrigerator looks like a bachelor pad because there's like pizza boxes and like, you know, and I cook once a year or twice for New Year's and Thanksgiving. Like that's it. Unless, unless it's, you know, like someone's coming over, someone wants me to cook for them. I've never been in the habit of just cooking for me. So it was always just not the best diet. Until I went to my yoga teacher training. During that stint, I ate very healthy, but mainly because the studio, they were like vegan and you couldn't bring meat there. So you had to be really mindful of what you brought to eat.
Yeah.
And then now that I'm over 40, I know I have to be more mindful of what I eat. So I do eat more healthy now, but not, it's different. Before I just ate what felt good or what tasted good. You know, it wasn't about what my body needed. I wasn't concerned about being healthy. I never had that mindset when I was younger. Whereas now, I'm like, man, I'm getting older. I probably need to eat things that's going to keep my system running well. I need to have more vegetables. I'm like, loving my seaweed, like all of these things. So I have a different consideration because I know this thing is getting old.
Yeah. Well,
But,
I've had a couple of ideas about this aging thing lately.
mhm.
That's one idea, but I've shared it with a couple of people, and let's think about it this way, whether it's reality or not. This is what we do. We shift perspectives here, right? So I was thinking of like, like, because one of my friends, he was like, I feel old. He's like, do you feel old? And I'm like, well, it depends on how you look at it. I'm like, when I think about it, like I've been on the earth longer than I've ever have been before, which gives me this many more experiences.
Technically,
right? Right.
Yeah.
So I have way more experiences that have accumulated that this physical form has been through.
Right.
So it's taken all these hits, like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically. So it's just like, it's, weathered a little bit. It's not that I'm aging. It's just that my energy is weathered. And if I don't start to take care of it more properly and thoughtfully and manage it better, then yes, it does age. But I know there's a realistic answer of like science and the degradation of the physical form, and we have to take care of it. So there's that piece too. But
yeah, but I think how we take care of it, I mean, like I think we have a hand in how quickly or the way it may deteriorate, because
yes, that's exactly what I was getting to.
Yeah, like I saw
how quickly.
I saw this woman the other day, a picture of this woman. I think she's like 80, and she started bodybuilding or something when she was like maybe 70. I don't know. But this
Oh my
lady,
God, that's
her
amazing.
body is sick. Okay. And she's like 80 years old. I was like, what? Like, she just looks like full, like you would never think she was 80. So no,
Wow.
I mean, that's another thing too. I mean, like as you get older, like, in your 20s, 40 sounds old as hell. Now I'm 40 and I'm like, I feel like this is like the 20s. I don't even know, it's all relative. But aside from knowing like the physical aspect of I have to eat better, I think one of the biggest things that stands out to me around everyone, really, I think it's more cultural, is the criticism. Because we do live in a society where there is such this like chasing of perfectionism, like,
yes.
Are my eyebrows exactly the same? Side note, my friend, she does makeup. She's a makeup artist. And she's like, your eyebrows are not supposed to be sisters. They're cousins. They're not supposed to be exactly.
Oh my God, that's cute. That's really cute.
But
I love that you bring this up though, because like since like thick eyebrows have come back, I've been kind of like shaming myself a little bit that I lost like maybe 60% of my eyebrows to the 90s. And I've literally been like, my mom sent me a picture of me and my younger brother when I was like 7 or 8 and he was 1. And I was looking at my eyebrows. I'm like, God, those were good eyebrows. What did you do? Damn you 90s. And literally like I got stuck on it for a while, and I would look up like, how do I regrow my eyebrows? Like, I don't touch these things. They don't do anything anymore, But again, it was that thing. We get caught up in what the trends are or what's new, and then we go inside into our head instead of in our body. And because in my body, my eyebrows are serving their purpose. They're still there. They're doing what they need to do, albeit a lot thinner than they once were. But in my head, I'm thinking, God damn it, I wish I didn't ruin what God had made perfect already as a child,
Well, I feel lucky in that way. I've never been like a person that was like trendy, at least not in my brain anyway. Like because I never had the capacity to like want to care to keep up with trends. Like I just, like I always like to think I like pieces that are more timeless or classic, like, because I hate shopping. That's like another layer to the story. Like I don't like to shop, and I don't have the capacity to stay with what's in, what's out. I can't do it. But there is so much pressure. And now, because we have so much more accessibility.
Yes.
But the thing is, and this is why I think this is such an important conversation right now too, because not only did we have a lot of pressure, which caused a lot of criticism about our bodies and ourselves and, all of these things, but now we have filters and social media and all this stuff that makes it look like something is really not going on.
I don't pay much mind to that, because technology it gets too haywire for me. So I step off. So if there's like filters and stuff that I can use, I don't even bother. But you showed me. You're the one who introduced me to it and showed me the difference of them. And mind boggled by it.
Yeah, no, honey, I just saw it was like this, I don't know if it was 2020, it wasn't 2020, but it was one of these, either an article or a show, where they're talking about how people are literally wanting to have plastic surgery to look like the way they look in a filter.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And now people are becoming depressed because they don't look like they look in the film. Yes. So, you know,
oh
all
Lord.
this to say, like, people have, I don't know about whatever, but people have this added pressure of being flawless, whatever that means to them. So I think one of the things we should talk about, one is like perspective. Eyes and beauty is an eye of the beholder. That's a good one, you know, whatever. But also really paying attention to what we do say and how we are in relationship to our bodies. Because is there something about you that you're always criticizing? Is there something about you that you're always looking at in the mirror like, oh, if this was only, like, just take 2 seconds to think, like, what is this doing to my energy? And if my body were a separate entity from me, how would it feel being criticized every day? You know what I mean? Like, consider the impact.
That study, there was I saw a video recently, but there was also a study done, I forget what his name is. I think it was a Japanese guy that did the water crystals.
Dr. Emoto.
Yes. But I just saw this video recently where there was kids at a school
with the apple.
No, and they're like 2 little palm trees, like small little trees, and they have them in plastic or glass cases, and then they have 2 speakers, and one of the speakers is saying really nice things to one plant, and the other speaker is bullying it. So it's a anti-bullying campaign, essentially.
Yeah.
So they're showing like what happens to the plant at the same amount of time that they're being fed these words, which are vibrations, which are energy, and the bullying, the poor tree is like wilted and brown and not flourishing, and the other tree is like green and beautiful and happy.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I think those are both really good examples. So Dr. Emoto and the water crystal experiment that he did, showing the way that the water literally changes form and is impacted by what, you know, the words. So he would take glasses of water and put nice, kind words, and then put other glasses with like harsh words, and it would literally change the molecular structure of the water. And anyway, so the first time I saw that was in a movie called
What the Bleep Do We Know?
Yes, yeah. Such an old one. That movie.
So good, though. I love it.
It's really good, but it's super old. But if you fast forward ahead, there was one that was more recent called I Am.
I watched that.
I Am the movie.
Both of those.
Well, I Am in that one is where they do the experiment too with the plants. Remember? And they were talking.
I don't remember it, but I probably, if I watch it again, I'd remember.
Yeah, they talked about that, and they were saying how, because they put the things on the plants kind of like a EEG type, like where you could monitor the frequency of the plants. And so they would have someone come in and be loving to the plants, and the plants would respond in a particular way. And then they had this man who would come in and be very vile to the plants every day. And what started happening is, as soon as the man would enter the room, he didn't even have to open his mouth, and the plants would start reacting.
Yeah.
Now, if a plant is reacting that way, like, what do you think this body's doing? Oh,
right.
Nice.
Totally.
Yeah. Be nice to your body.
Hi, Lorena. I'm so happy you're here with us. This is so exciting. So is my friend. I love her so much.
It's like all kinds of emotion. It was like containing emotion. Like, what's happening? I let
Scorpio,
it out.
what do you want from me?
Very, very good. That seems to come up a lot. We have to stop talking about you. Scorpios are lovely.
Thanks.
They're such beautiful creatures.
Thank you.
But yeah, so with that, like, have you know? I mean, you are a personal trainer, or you know. So do you notice that a lot? That people are.
Actually, when we were talking earlier, this was one of my thought patterns that I forgot to go back to. But I've been personal training now for almost 14 years, and I did it for quite a long time, and I retired last year, the beginning of 2017, because I wanted to start doing this kind of stuff more. And I was juggling 2 other jobs. So I was just like, you know what, like, I think we're done with this. And it got to the point where I wanted to retire because I was tired as I was moving into the energetics and stuff. I always believed in the mind body connection. But once I started really studying and understanding Reiki and energy, you know, the going to the gym just to lose 20 pounds with complete disregard to what is actually happening to the body. You know, if the only goal is to lose weight and you will put this vessel through anything in order to do that, like, to me, it wasn't worth it anymore. And I'm like, that's not the right approach. Like there's somehow else that we have to get to this. So it really started shifting my understanding of our relationship to our body and how that will actually get us the results we want in a safer and healthier way. Now, I had to come out of retirement because the universe started handing me over some new clients, and I'm like, okay. And it kept coming at me. So I'm like, all right, okay. There's more for me to learn, and I can shift this and start training the way that I want to teach now too. So it was interesting, but yes, I've seen it quite a bit, and especially in the gyms, you know, you see these huge dudes throwing around huge weights with no regard for their form because they don't know what's going to injure them because their brain's only on, I want to lift this much. And
Right.
Don't get me started on a certain type of gym that just came up. I won't say any names.
Okay.
But everybody knows what I'm talking about.
I have no idea. I'm such like, I don't even know what a gym
I know.
is.
I was like, not everybody knows what I'm talking about.
I have no idea. Oh my God.
It rhymes with moss-lit.
Oh, you're funny. You're funny. But yeah, I mean, it is really interesting. Like, really, what's our motivation? I guess that's like part of the thing we can look at, no matter what choices we're making around the body, whether it's food, fitness, no matter what it is, like really considering what our motivation may be. Because even when we think we're doing something that would fall under the umbrella of healthy, if what is motivating us to do that is coming from a space of like, you know, self-deprecation or like not feeling worthy or feeling not good enough, then you're putting like this heavy expectation on yourself that may cause you to feel even, you know, more stressed out. And looking at our motivation a lot of times can show us what it is we need to work on in terms of like our healing and our self-acceptance. Right. And that's what it all comes down to, because I mean, it kind of reminds me of, there's someone, they were eating healthy, but they were like pissed off about everything they were putting in their mouth. And I was like, you didn't realize, like, you're taking away some of the health benefits, I think, by like damning the salad. Like, God damn this salad up. Like, woo, I'm not mad about it.
Favorite thing to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, you know, really pay attention to like what our motivations are and where we're judging ourselves, where we're doing things in a place that just isn't a happy place.
Right. And sitting down to look at what your goals actually are and why you want those goals.
Right.
Because I feel like sometimes people get to that point, but then they stop because they're like subconsciously they know, they're like, oh, I know what's in there and I don't want to go find out the real root cause of it. So we'll just stay at this superficial goal because it's good enough. But then inevitably it ends up like we're not going to actually get to where our heart really wants to go, and your heart knows, you know, like your mind might try to tell you one thing and you might try to hide all that other stuff, but eventually something else will come up to push the envelope towards what your deep heart desire is. And, you know, something will show up to get you there. But again, it's understanding the lessons and appropriating them.
Well, one of the things I have to mention too, because this just came up, I had a podcast interview over a week ago, but you know, sometimes we pre-record and we post them late. So I just posted it last week, but this young girl, side note, I mean, I know I'm young. 40 is like the new 20, so I'm super young. But I love that, like, a lot of people now, even in their 20s, they are all in here. They are in this. You know what I mean? They are like, man, if I was like that in my 20s, what a different world this would be. But so this young girl, she wanted to come on the show because she specifically wanted to talk about how the trauma of the root chakra for women. And so in that conversation, like we were even talking about how so many times a lot of us, even men too, because we can't leave them out. I mean, it's true too. So many of us disassociate ourselves from our bodies because of the trauma that we've gone through, or like, then we don't like our bodies. Like we might not feel safe in it. Like we talked about on our last episode, you may just not like the thing for all of your criticisms or whatever that may be. But again, not only is it impacting the functionality of your body, it's really like, it's hurting your heart.
Yeah, totally.
Just the way that you love you and the way that you may be experiencing or allowing yourself to experience life and perceive different things. So it's a beautiful thing for us when we get to a place and we feel that we can like really look in the mirror and be very honest about our criticism and our hurt and whatever we're carrying, so that we don't have to carry it that way.
Hi, Sean. I can see you too. Thank you, Lorena, for telling him what he walked into. Sean and Lorena know each other.
Yeah. I pulled a Tiffany.
See? Technology is hard.
It is very hard.
Yeah, and I think when we look at perspectives, bringing it back also to the thought that, you know, as we discussed, somehow I think we always touch on this in all of our conversations, but like, we created this experience for ourselves. Everything that's happening to us is created by us, regardless of what that is and what we think, you know, we might be, what might be happening to us, but we're actually creating it all. And if that's the idea, like we've also asked for these vessels. So what you're damning and shaming is what you actually created and you wanted. And by shaming it and damning it, you're perpetuating that which you don't want.
You just remind me of a conversation. This is like way off topic, and maybe we'll cover it one day because it's a heavy one, but it's whatever. So right before this, I got into this whole conversation with someone about race and racism, and we we're talking about how interesting that we all have these different vessels, whether color, hair, this, language, all of these different layers of difference and contrast, and how that's given us a lot to work through. I mean, like, you know, our judgments and our like wanting to feel that we belong, so we migrate over to certain extremes. Not all of us, you know, some people, whatever it may be. But yeah, now I forgot what you even said that made me think of that.
that we chose these vessels.
Yeah, no, but this whole entire life experience, that's what it was. Yeah. So it's like, you know, yes, these bodies that we're in, but everything. I mean, like the countries we live in, the friends that we have, the families that we have, all of these different layers of this life experience, and how it has given us so many different ways of judging ourselves, of not feeling like good enough, or shaming ourselves, or feeling whatever layers and layers that everybody goes through throughout their life. And then finally coming to a place of, you know what, you know, maybe there is a different way of looking at me. And if I am going to accept and love me, then where does it start? It starts just by being honest with you, you know, like just write down, like, how do I criticize myself? What do I always complain about? What do I wish were different about me? Whatever those things, you'll start to see what your stories are. And again, that'll give you like a good foundation of what you may be ready to heal.
Yeah. And there's two things I want to touch on. Accountability of those items that you just said about listing them, and energy usage. So don't let me forget that. But really quickly, I want to touch on, really quick, I want to touch on how, if we start shifting the perspective too of whatever this vessel is that we created, that we may be shaming and damning, every little aspect of it was equipped to guide us through the journey that we wanted when we came back here to experience this life that we chose. So start understanding, like, why do I have curly hair that I can't control, and it's been one of my biggest insecurities my entire life? I don't know, but like, I'm learning through it, you know, like, it is one of my insecurities and I'm constantly fighting with it. My entire life has been a fight with my hair. I don't know what it's doing. It doesn't know what I'm doing. So we're always trying to reconcile it. But, you know, some of the conversations with people that I've had that have curly hair, you know, like I wouldn't have those if I had curly hair. So I don't know what door that would have opened or what experience that attitude simply because I have curly hair, you know?
Right. Right.
Like the tiniest little thing that
it reminds me too. I'm glad you said that. It reminds me of like people that we may look at and we think they are beautiful or perfect or, you know, these things. Like I have a friend that is like, she's beautiful, like in a classical sense, you know what I mean? And somebody said, most people assume that she'd probably be like the most confident person on planet Earth, but she's really not. She has her own insecurities too. But there's this idea that just because she looks the way that she does, like she's not supposed to have any insecurities.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Totally.
And it's like, oh my goodness, it's so funny. Like what we think people are allowed to have or supposed to have based on what we think, you know, you can't say, you know, cause like I could look at you and go like, oh, you have such pretty hair, Tiffany, but that, who cares? If that's not your perspective, it doesn't really matter.
Totally. But it is nice to hear it because then, you know, it helps soften the criticism we have of ourselves. We'll get to Lorena's question there in a second. The other thing before I forget it is when you said, you know, getting more in touch with our body and writing down a list of things that we criticize ourselves about. The next step to that, as you were saying this, I thought about it. It was like, if we were writing down the things we criticize about ourselves, and we'll look at it and be like, oh, that's ridiculous. Why am I doing it? But another step too, if you want to like start to try to scale that back somehow, an exercise that could be right in your face is to try to quantify the amount of time and energy we use stressing about this or shaming it, or just like the amount of energy that it burns up that we could be applying somewhere else. You know, like how long do we stare in front of the mirror, or how long do we like try on clothes that we wish we could fit into and like they're just not working right now, and then we go into this hole and we just burn all of this time and energy on something that's so useless when we could be allocating that time and energy to something that's productive and would get us somewhere where we feel better about ourselves.
I'm trying really hard not to laugh at you because I'm like, of course she would want to quantify. Like I'm thinking about who you are in the background. Like that other people.
I've got my graph notebook and my
calculator. I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm like, yeah, of course. Oh my God, it's so funny. But yeah, no, that's a good one. And another thing too that can help.
I say it only because I have to do it too. It's not because I'm saying I've done it and it works. No, I need to do it freaking time.
Honey, we all do. Are you kidding me? But when you do write down what you may criticize, also, you know, have some consideration of like where that may come from. Because a lot of times the ideas or the thoughts or the stories that we echo in our minds, when we really consider where they come from, it might be something someone else said to you. It could have been your mom's idea. It could have been your grandmother's idea. So here you are functioning from these ideas that were passed on from somebody else that may not even really be your point of view. Yeah. You may have adopted it as your point of view, but if you sit and look at it and go like, no, I wouldn't even say this to one of my friends. Well, then, you know, you probably shouldn't say it to you. So I mean, it's an interesting thing. So go ahead.
Generational energy applications. That's what I call those.
Wait, we had a question. Do you see where it is?
Lowe's, I'm going to read it. I want you to answer this one, Yolanda, because I want it to be a very objective.
Neutral?
Yeah, neutral. That's it. Neutral. So Lorena's asking, how can I go about resetting my energy when I don't have much time alone or time to stop and focus on something like meditation?
One of the things that I do, and this is one of the things we talked about a couple weeks ago, is like I really just have to pause. And when I say pause, I don't mean sit and contemplate, you know, like sometimes you have to do it real time when you're engaging with somebody who's really like aggravating you and on your nerves, you know what I mean? So, I mean, it's a habit of just observing when you can tell, okay, I need to shift, but then also allowing yourself to be able to like hold this steady space of presence in a way, but still having the ability to kind of like back all the way up into yourself and like, you know, take a breath and just settle. But there's a change of mind that has to happen in there. So one, if it's something that I really can't deal with in the way that may be necessary in the moment, I have to make the decision that this just has to be put on the back burner for now. Like this is aggravating me right now, but this is not the time or place where I can do my full-blown shift. And I'm okay with knowing I'm going to deal with how my energy needs to be maintained when I have the opportunity to do it. But then there are times where I can change my mindset in that instant, like, look at this differently. Don't take it personally. Don't, like, whatever it may be, don't attach to this. And as you talk yourself through it, you start to, like, you know, let go of the tension and the control around whatever may be aggravating your energy. And then it just starts to dissolve naturally. But I mean, quite honestly, there'll be some times, even if you have the time and space to shift, it's not going to be easy to shift. Because sometimes you're just full of a particular feeling or emotion, and it's really big and heavy. And I don't know if I can cuss on Facebook Live. Whew, catch myself.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sometimes you have to just let it out and cry, have a full-blown meltdown, whatever it is you have to do. Sometimes that's the only way to let ourselves shift, to let that energy move through us. But it's not always pretty. Our energy shifting is not always pretty.
Right. And I would, as you're saying that, I was starting to think about, you know, we are so busy and there isn't a lot of time, but our sacred space and our sacred time for ourselves is very important. So even really carving out like 1 hour a week, that's like your day, like get a babysitter, get your husband to watch the kid, get everybody to just be like, this is my time, this is my hour, like you all do what you got to do, but you have me 24 hours a day all the other days. Like give me just Sunday with 1 hour where you can have me 23 hours, but give me this 1 hour where you could spend that hour really diving into yourself and figuring out what it is you need, but then also creating a word. So creating your own trigger word that will help put you back into this space that you spend. So if you take this 1 hour to work on what it is you need and figure it out, package all of that stuff up into one word, and then take that one word with you throughout the week. So you might not have any other time during the week, but if you have a split second to think of that word, that will bring you back to that hour space where you were uncovering the stuff and creating the shift that you want to be in. You know, that will slowly start building on top of itself more and more and more. We talk about energy being like a muscle all the time.
You know, you just reminded me to like the question that was asked, it just brought it to mind, empaths, because one, I just want to say and acknowledge like people who are mothers, because I don't have any kids, and God, I can't imagine what you all do and how you find time to like wipe your own butt.
Yeah.
Like I can't
Amen.
on Facebook. I don't know what I could say. So, I mean, you know, people who have like those type of arrangements where there really just seems like they have no time, like they don't know what to do. It also reminds me of a lot of people who are empathic, which I can relate to, because there are times where I used to be in environments where I felt like I was crawling out of my skin and I had nowhere to go, because here I am in a crowd, like a sea of people, and it's like, you better figure out something or something's gonna implode and pop, and you can't go like sneak off in a corner. Like life doesn't always afford us that for whatever reason. But the one example for that's coming up, I feel like I tell this every time, but for some reason it's coming up again to share, was this time I was in a meditation and I was getting really irritated and I was uncomfortable in my meditation. And so my body started getting tense and I started to feel like, you know, that shake that happens when your mind starts going crazy and you're like, yeah. And then I like caught myself and I'm like, what are you doing? Come on. Like in my head, this is all internal, all in my crazy maker, right? So I'm just talking in my head, like, let your shoulders fall. You like meditating, like really? Okay, wow, you'll be here 3 more minutes, like get over yourself. So you're like literally having this internal dialogue, like bringing yourself back off the ledge. And as I was talking to myself in my head, my body started to shift, the tension started to release. And then I really didn't care that I was sitting there. Sometimes I have to, because I'm still very introverted and I'm still very sensitive to energy. Sometimes I have to make the decision that I'm going to be okay to go spend time with people, like a group of people, because the sound of that does not sound fun to me. But I have to make the decision of like, you know, it starts in the mind. It's going to be okay. I can manage my field. Everything's all right. So that my energy doesn't freak out. I don't freak out. all of these things. So the
Yeah.
point is, if you are someone and you catch yourself with not having time or don't have the space, and sometimes you just got to do what you can do, if nothing else, talk to yourself in your head and try to like talk yourself off the ledge, because that will help you shift in ways that is just unbelievable.
It's like a first baby step to it. And yeah, we're talking about not having time, and Lois saying as soon as I do get time, she's exhausted and she passes out. Even if there's a split second
That's
before
a good
you fall
one.
asleep. Yeah, like first of all, sleeping is very, very good for you. And a lot of people don't sleep.
Yeah.
But even just as you're laying down, that split second as you're just laying there, being thankful for the bed you're laying in, being thankful for being able to lay down and go to sleep, or just saying, like, I know this sleep is going to be so beneficial for me. Even that thought of mindfully expressing the positive aspect of what's about to happen, even though you think it's not productive, it's very productive, but just changing the perception and making a mindful observation of how important the sleep is, and being like, oh God, I'm so happy I get
That's
to sleep
what I was
now.
thinking. Yes, that's what I was going to say. That's, oh my God. Like that is, I catch myself with that one all the time. Like, fudge. I'm so glad I'm in this bed right now. I'm so thankful for this bed. I'm so glad I get to go to sleep at the end. Like just that alone sometimes is like the best. Oh, I'm so thankful I get to go to sleep right now.
Because a lot of times, and I do it too, like you go to bed and you're just like, fuck, ooh, it's so hard not to swear.
I know.
Sorry. Like we expend so much of our energy through the day, and when we finally get to bed, we're like, oh God, that was such a long day. Oh my God. And we find ourselves kind of complaining about the energy we expended versus being like laying in bed and being like, oh, thank goodness I do get to sleep, and even that is a shift.
It is such a shift. And one of the things too, I just remembered that can be helpful is throughout the day, acknowledge like the little things that we normally would take for granted. Like say, for example, I love my coffee in the morning. Anybody knows me, don't even talk to me before I have it. But there's always that sip where you're just like, oh, the first sip of coffee of the day, where I really have this conscious acknowledgement of how thankful I am for this, like just the smallest little things. Like if you have a minute where both of your hands are free, and you don't have to use, and you just give yourself a second to like just rub your palms, like tune into that feeling like, oh God, I just needed to rub my hands, like, oh, like
the mindfulness of it.
Yeah, the mindfulness of it will bring you into like these little tiny snippets of gratitude throughout the day, so that you don't feel that you've gotten so far away from yourself or your experience by the time the day is over. But it's
Hi Sarah, welcome. Thank you for joining.
How do you see?
I'm so happy you're here. What?
I'm like, how do you see these people? It's like you like have like a alert, like a doorbell.
I do. It's in my head. It's just a ding.
Psychic. That's what it is.
Yes.
That's what it is. So what about with the chakras? I wanted to ask you.
Well, I will get. That's actually going right into what I was thinking. Is I went and got acupuncture yesterday, and I was thinking about, as you were like touching your hands and pressing, I was thinking about like, we're talking about our bodies and being in relationship with our bodies, right? So our hands, the meridians, like when you get acupuncture, there's so many meridians, and wherever we touch in our hands or our feet, it's aligning with something in our system. So
organs, everything.
Yeah, the technology of our bodies it's so magnificent, and to be able to sit and be like, think about just this hand and what it does, like what it has done for us, and all the things it's capable of, just like what's inside this hand, and we start to really grow an appreciation for our body. And then all the stressors of like worrying about trying to do this, trying to do that, because I'm trying to achieve this goal, like they kind of just go away, because then you're really in your body being like, wow, this thing is amazing what it does and what it has been doing.
Do you ever pay attention when you're doing an activity? Like for some reason, I always am really aware when I'm walking, probably because East Coast, like I walk fast and hard. So I always feel like really brisk when I'm walking. But is there any kind of activity that you do that you feel like you're really paying attention to your body?
Yes. Would you like to tell me this week's example?
Right after the question came out of my mouth, I was like,
knew?
Man.
So I've been an athlete my whole life. Like yoga's been my thing, and I've been a personal trainer. Like I get functionalities of the body. I'm intrigued by the physics of how the mechanisms work of the body. The whole science behind it obviously is like my thing. But this week I'm trying out a spin class for a week. They had a free week. I was looking for a yoga studio, but it was a bogus yoga studio. They're actually just spin, and they're like, try a free week. And I'm like, okay, I just did a yoga intensive, and my teachers say you go deep into the yoga and then you leave it for like a week or so and go deep into something else. And I'll go deep into spinning. Well, first I went deep into my respiratory infection, and now I'm going deep into spinning. So, man, the mechanisms of how spin work, like I'm very in my body, because they're like, drop an elbow, go to the beat, spin with your right foot, now spin with your left foot. I'm like, I'm riding a bicycle, both of my feet are going, and like dropping my elbows isn't doing anything. And all these chicks are like in sync with each other, and like there's loud music, and the girl's yelling over a microphone, and then she's yelling at me to ride for my life. And I'm like, I don't get all of this. Like, what? I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing with my body. What are you people doing? And I totally forgot what your original question was.
Do you ever notice when you're doing something with your body and you just reminded me of like your own private like Sex and the City episode? Like you can do your own kind of like drama sitcom slash rom-com slash.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I've been noticing every single freaking thing that I was doing with my body in spin class, because they want me to do one thing and my body won't do it. So I'm trying to make my body do something that my body thinks is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that is no way to move a body on a bicycle, but they're somehow dancing on their bicycles and I'm trying to do it. So,
well, now that you're saying that too, it's probably a good practice to tie this in with like relationship to the body, and even some things we've talked about before. If you do pay attention to some kind of physical activity, like something like that, where you're having to, make sure that you're moving along with everyone, whatever they're instructing you to do. It also reminds me of like Tai Chi and these things.
Yeah.
If you are mindful about your movement, it's also you're directing the mind. So if you're also directing the mind, you're also just naturally putting yourself in the practice of not just mindfulness, but directing the mind.
Yes.
So the more that you do that, the more easy it will be for you to reel it in and catch yourself when your mind starts going down. Wow. Whoa. I swear I didn't drink today. When your mind starts, ours come back. When your mind starts going down the rabbit hole of, what is wrong with your body, shaming your body, beating yourself up, blah, blah, blah. Well, no. When you put yourself to the practice of being aware of you and reeling your mind back in, or paying attention to how your mind is engaging, you don't have to go down these crazy rabbit holes as much, and you don't have to go in as deep, and you can be more resilient and snap back much more quickly, which is all just part of the process of building a better relationship with you, with your body, with your mind, with your energy. And we'll be here every week to talk about all of it.
Yes we will.
And scene. No. No, but we are almost out of time, so I do want to ask you, like, is there anything in particular about relationship to body that comes up for you that you're like, I really do want people to know this, or this is what really comes up for me?
I think the biggest bird's eye view topic about it is having reverence for our body. We're so embattled with our physical bodies because of Hollywood or society or magazines or whatever it is, and I'm sure that there's some component of evolution that plays a part in our like intrinsic primal demands for procreation. But all of that aside, if that's just physical stuff, right? That's just our human side. But our human side and our spirit side, which is we're talking about the Mind Body Energy Project, we're bringing all of these things that we are together, having a reverence for this vessel that's carrying your soul on this journey. If we and then seeing it like that, and then getting into the physical aspect of it, like I think there should be a class, or at least 1 year spent in school at some point, where you study only the mechanisms of how this body works. Because if we truly understand the intricacies of how this vessel works, we would be astonished. you know, we'd be astonished about how much we poison it and beat it up just on like simple everyday things. If we were, you know, knowledgeable about it, we'd be like, holy, I can't believe I've done that to this body, but yet it still rises every day and it still fights off what it has to, and it's still doing like everything this body does for us is so impressive and like extraordinary.
It's insane. It just reminded me of there's a Fiona Apple song. I want to her note, like it's old city, but not tidal wave. But she had a song called "Extraordinary Machine."
Oh yes,
it just reminded me of that, and I don't even remember what the song was about. But random things, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I know that song, and now I want to go back and try to figure out what it's about. Also.
God knows where even that CD is, but if it, I mean, hers, like since it's her, it probably had nothing to do with the body. Who knows what it was about?
Or it could be a metaphor. It could be a metaphor for the body and for society and the world. It's probably all of it. Everything's a machine. To some degree.
She's pretty amazing with her writing. But
she is.
what was I gonna say? Yeah, the body. I think one of the things that's always important, and I'm glad we started with being in body, because that's the first layer of this. Like really allowing yourself to be connected to yourself. Be an observation of yourself. Notice how you feel. Notice what comes up for you, because only in that observation can you be mindful enough to make the choice to allow yourself to heal, to allow and support your transformation, to like hold the space for yourself to say, you know, I'm ready to do this differently. And I can have a different point of view, and I can have a different story. Like I don't have to stay in these old cycles and patterns. So yeah, I mean, if you missed our other conversations, that's where we started. And then, you know, after the mindfulness is when we go a little deeper into the investigation. And I think that's what today was more about, like really considering the way we are in relationship to the body and the part that we play. And just a reminder again, because it was exciting, we had fun, that for everyone on Patreon, you will have access to our other video.
There's a third part of being in body.
Yes. The fun part of it, honey.
So that can be found on our mbeproject.com website, and click the button that says become an insider. Is that what it says?
Yes.
I think we need to make that button bigger.
Yeah.
So people can find it easier. We'll work on that for you.
We'll work on that for you. Oh, and next week, do you want to share what our next topic will be?
Ooh, I do. It's really an exciting one. Because I think a lot of people are going to identify with it.
Ooh, I do.
Yeah, it's about empaths. And if you don't know what an empath is, but you're very sensitive and you get overwhelmed and you're emotional and there's so many, the list goes on, you're probably an empath. And even people who are like, I don't know what that word is, maybe just tune in, because you might find that you are, and you might find some tips that are extremely helpful.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun with this one. I'm so excited about this topic, especially because it is a big one. But I think it also helps people move from the fear or like the feeling cursed by their sensitivity and like move into that state of empowerment. Like, yeah, I can feel everything. And like not feeling like the wounded healer, like, no, I can feel the world. But like, yeah, I can. Guess what? So yeah,
and tune in for the main topic, which is empaths, because what will happen the following week when we do this live Facebook is that we dive a little bit deeper into the subject of empath based on what Yolanda and I experienced through the week, but more so what we get as feedback from our listeners. So feel free to share on our Facebook page, our Instagram, our website, our blog, whatever. Feel free to share what you want to hear about or what your experience is. And, you know, if you're the only one commenting, we'll do the whole show about you.
Yes. And shout out to Joe, wherever you are today. We missed you today, Joe. So that is it. Yeah. For everything, go to mbeproject.com for more information, and definitely follow us on Instagram. We'll probably do some live videos on there too. Like we're just getting warmed up. So thank you.
We're just getting warmed up.
And like kind of watching us fumble around all of this, but
it gets better.
It
gets better.
It does.
And again, if you're on Patreon, there is a third part to this being in body, and it will be up in a few short minutes after this.
Yep.
Is that right?
5 minutes.
Yeah. Yolanda's our tech
Mona.
savvy IT director over there. Thank God, because if it was me, we'd be in trouble.
No, we both got to stick to what we're good at.
Exactly.
So I'm glad that we were able to do this today, babes. And, you know, if you guys have questions, if you're watching this later, just put whatever you want to say, ask, share in the comments. We always respond, and we'll see you all next Wednesday.
Yes. Thank you for joining. Bye.
And then I'm going to stop recording. How about that?